Welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. We are here at the Church of the Palms in Sarasota, Florida. My name is Kathy Futrell. Come join us. We're going to do a flower painting today. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to do a sketch. This is my inspiration. I'm honestly not sure what kind of flower it is. I'm guessing some type of hibiscus. It reminds me of a hibiscus flower. It's a beautiful decorated center, and I think this little small part
I think it's camellia.
a camellia. Oh, well then that makes sense, but it's the color that attracts me. And so I've started this so I can move to this painting. Once I get this one started, I'll show you how I got to this stage. And I basically want to begin not so much in the dead center, but a little bit off center with the sketch of what this flower center is like. And just by drawing the shapes that obviously they're little tiny pieces that make up the center. Oh, okay. And thanks for that. Is that better?
Perfect, yes.
Okay. We're still got our image in view. Thank you very much. And then we're going to go with the petals and bring them as close to the edge as you can. And I am looking, let's see, I need to get this little piece here as it relates to the edge of the paper. Okay, and the stem is probably just going in and behind one of these petals of the flower itself. So the edges have a nice little crispy feeling as it goes back into the flower here, but so much of this flower has this beautiful pink fuchsia color. But what happens in the shadows, which get very dark, we're going to try a color which I have placed here on my palette. I don't know if you can see it right here, but this is a raw umber violet, and I'm going to use that with my rose madder to create this painting and as well as the shadow of the petals. So right now, let's just get the sketch finished. And it does run off my edge in the photograph, so I'm going to make up that edge as I see it, or as I would imagine it to be. And I'm going a little quick, and that is in hopes to get this painting started and give you time to work. This shape, oh, I forgot to put this nice, beautiful leaf in, and actually it doesn't come out of that spot. I need to bend it to come out of here. I like that much better. Okay, and the rest of the petals then, this has a piece that goes like this. And I'm also paying attention to where these shadow shapes, they become really definite shapes within these petals. But I see this nice open gap, and it will allow this flower now to have an interesting varied shape without being too uniform. Well, I made this a little wide here in relation to what I see. This is a shadow. This is a shadow. Sometimes it's because it's a shadow, but it's also the way the folds of the flowers happen. And I think this is kind of exciting to make a design like this. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. This was taken against a wall. But I think there's something nice about creating a dark, a little shape within this. And because I know that there would be a stem of some sort coming out of this flower. I'm tempted to add a stem. You know, it wouldn't be floating in midair. But this is my inspiration, and this is where I'm going to try to get to very quickly, and then I'll layer. So the flower is where I'm going to focus, but I can begin with just applying yellow, and this is my Aurelian yellow because I will indicate more detail after this dries. And so I'm not necessarily going to fill in every little place because it needs to have some texture, and I will want to draw more specifically to give you the feeling that there are little individual tentacles coming out. Then I'm going to switch to my rose madder, which is this lovely pink rose color. And this to me almost says exactly what the petals are saying. Sometimes I want to put a little bit of magenta. This is fuchsia, actually. It's called wild fuchsia in the American Journey paint. You won't see a whole lot of difference, but there's a brighter quality about this color. And I was also going to suggest that a bit, now I could probably make my shadows with the rose madder or magenta and this amethyst, not quite that much purple, but there you get the idea. And now let me show you what the beautiful color, which I've just added to my palette right here, which has a little more brown to it. It's the umber violet. Now I'm going to use this color, but I'm probably going to use it again with some there. Now it's not as violet as the amethyst, but we'll still see how it can be used for our shadows. All right, so let's begin. I did leave out one line over here, which comes as a petal, and it extends behind this leaf. All right, so I'm going to begin with rose madder. I'm also going to do some washes. Let's look at this petal right here. No, I'm going to do this petal. So it has a lot of transparency, and using the flat brush, very wet, and controlling my edges, I'm going to paint over where the shadows are going to go, because that will be a wash or a glaze. And I'm going to begin by just extending linear lines, and I want to soften that with a clean brush and another flat with just the water. And you see that I take the brush and put a little water to the edge, and then I just sweep this together, and this will keep my petals a little lighter and more transparent, and at the same time giving it some of those lines. Okay, the petal itself, the petals themselves. I'm trying to keep this edge just as crisp as I possibly can, and I probably will need to make that a little brighter. But we'll be layering some of this. So let's go to our next few, and I do paint one petal at a time rather than trying to push all of the petals painted at the same time. And now I'm going to switch to the water brush. I'm going to try to leave some of the paper, so that could be in the next wash. Watch the edges, and this will give you the feeling of those petals. All right. Here it's very transparent. You see this? So I'm going to save some of that for my water. And I do want those lines. Okay. Now, at the same time, I'm going to take a little bit of this umber violet along with my magenta or rose madder, just to make this a little redder. I'm sticking a little bit of that purple with it and moving some of these shadows while in the wet. And you will kind of see how this happens, creating this edge. And just sweeping that along. And as it seems, here's another little place where I would take the small brush and put my magenta take the rose madder and my amethyst, any of these 3 or 4 colors, whatever it takes to get dark and bold. I want to create this edge of where the design is very dark, and I want to kind of creep these pieces in. Now this, even though this petal is very light, it does have some color that I need to bring out. And I see some very strong lines here. I don't really see any white, so that does need to get covered up. And it comes all the way to the edge. So you see what's happening with this little tiny brush. I am able to paint the shapes as they intrude onto the petal, the petals themselves, and I'm able to give that little wiggle shape that's happening with this. Okay, now I thought I would switch to my other little painting that I have done all the petal painting. I've done all of the washes here, and of course what I haven't finished is exactly what I'm showing you now, is getting this shape going around, a little darker, a little heavier. And let's reference our photograph to see what needs to be done to finish up this painting. Okay. Now I am continuing to bring these lines out, away, or in a radial effect. And let's do some more washes. And I will go back to this rose madder wash and begin to push that brighter color and combine. I'm still going to use, I see this is just a glaze over that dry brush that we were working with, and I'm taking the water now and blending that, and it allows the lines to show in the petal. So you just have to remember which one has the pigment and which one is your water brush. Yeah, because trust me, I am forever forgetting. This is very bold and very dark right here. And it's the beauty of this color as much as anything. Okay. This is a lighter wash. And now I've more or less completed with just glazing over that. You see, we did the preliminary painting showing the lines. Now we're getting heavy and we're covering up. See, these are all the linear paths, and now we're just pulling a light wash. I'm going to go a little lighter with a clean water to extend over the petal and allow that transparency. We do lose some of the white, but there's not a lot of white to show. Where we need to go darker, we're going to go darker. This is a strong edge. So we are really making our bolder designs with the contrast. Okay. Now this is my clear brush. And let's just drag some of this color toward the end. And very transparent over here. I have to put a little more rose madder in this. Being careful to go around the stem and out here into this, and bringing this pink, our rose madder, again in a wash. And I'll come back. I need to put some more darks right in here. So my flower now is getting bolder, but it has happened in layers. So it's being patient to let that layer dry. and keeping your edges very crisp. I thought the coloration here, the color of this flower and the shape, is almost like a skirt on a dancer that's swirling around, and it needs to have those lovely variations, lights and darks. Okay, hopefully I haven't lost too much of the light. I'm tempted to lift a little in here because of the light that's there, and a little bit more right there, so I don't get too dark. Now the contrast, I'll try to work a little bit more of the shadows, bring in some detail for the center, and as you see right here, this, I'm dragging a little more dark into this part of the flower, a little more here, definitely a little darker here, going back to my umber with a little more of the magenta and the amethyst. I need that purple to pop a little bit. I don't want it to be too brown. I still like that combination of mixing till you get the right color. Here I have got to darken. You see how dark that is? And I need to feather, and that's where sometimes the little brush comes in handy. Bring in some of the little lines that are radiating into this. We don't want to lose all of those lovely lines. And fill in the points, the edges. I'm going to go back and darken some more in here. And I want to show you how I would make this center. It's just so unfinished right now. I want to bring a little more dark out from here. Again, using my little brush to extend. This makes the detail. Without this detail, it just would become a little too flat. Now there is an overlap of this petal with that petal, so I'm going to darken there, and here, and here. Now that just adds a little bit to, yes, there's a, wherever you see these dark spaces, you should try to add. Okay, now I have already in this particular one placed the stem in with a light green, but you'll notice that the light green is only on one side because of the way the light is affecting this. My umber violet will be used to place a darker line on that stem, and I'm going to take a little clean brush and soften that edge so it's not a hard edge, but a softer edge. Okay, and I want to go with the green. Now I think before I jump into my green I better finish up this center, and I want to start with a little bit of a golden color, taking my one of my yellows, my yellow, of course, here is my Aurelian, and I have just taken some of the rose madder with it, so I have a little more of an orangey effect. And within the center, I'm going to suggest some little squiggly lines to help emphasize where the shadows are going with this little stamen area in my flower. There are lots of little lines that need to be suggested. And right here, for a darker area, I'm going to make some of the edges creep in, some of the shadow edges creep into the center here. Again, emphasizing the shadows that would fall from this little area overlapping against the petals. Okay, so we have some texture going on with the center. We have the stamen, keeping it kind of bright. I've got some little white pieces in there, and I think I'm going to live with that. Sort of adds a little sparkle. And I'm going to put more of the dark green. Let's do that now. And we're almost done. The dark green, well, that made a beautiful gray. Gosh, how did that happen? I think that was my violet.
I can see it.
Okay. All right. So we're taking the Viridian green
This way, will I be on the thing?
and a little bit
I
of
don't know when she's gonna be ready.
the Viridian green and a little bit of this Skips green. And I'm just going to enhance this green here and here and here. And the last thing, of course, besides kind of toning down that shift of color by just adding a little pale wash, this background, the way that was created was taking the brush with some water, and oh, you know that gray I made a while ago? That was a little bit of purple and green. And then that is going to be mixed to make the background. And I had a little shadow over here that I wanted to emphasize just because there seemed to be something going on with this painting here. So I'm going to add a little more blue to that. And this is just washed in as a background to the painting. All right. And I think we are done for the day.
You are.
Now it is your turn to be done for the day. That wash can be just carried on. Well, have fun with this. It is about building, about being layers, and also about, you know, covering that with creating shadows. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have fun painting. All right. You're welcome.